So one of the most common issues with the DR1900 after it gets powered down, or in some instances after it gets bumped, is it resets to this absorption mode, knocking you out of the Hach Method 80, which we should be in. So in order to get back in Hach Method 80, you want to click the wrench. Then you want to go to All Programs. And then you want to go to Stored Programs. And then you want to go to Method 80. And you want to click Start. And then you'll notice that it's now says 80 Chlorine right there. Let you know you're back in our Hach Method 80. And then you're ready to analyze samples.
We're here today at the Effluent 001. This is our effluent sampler, and this is where we draw our samples for chlorine residual. To draw a sample, you want to hit the hand sample button, which is indicated by the hand grabbing the sample. It will give you the choice to enter the volume, use to find sample. We're just going to go ahead and hit enter. The sample volume will be preset by our instrumentation tech. And when ready, we're going to hit enter again. So let's get ready. We remove this is the same sample that is collected in our composite, as you can see. So we are going to hit that enter button and it will draw us a grab sample. It's also a good idea while you're out here to check your fridge temperature just to be sure that that is good. Once your sample is collected, make sure to return the hose to the effluent bottle. Check your fridge temperature always. And now we have a sample to run. Today I am demonstrating how to make the LCS and run a chlorine residual sample for chlorine season. Start by making your LCS. Every night at midnight, after midnight, we have to make an LCS, which is our standard for the chlorine for the day. We make that standard in a 100 milliliter flask. We do so by adding distilled water, not DI water, not tap water, but distilled.
And we always rinse that flask out 3 times before we start making it.
Correct. You rinse 4, 2, 3. As with everything, like with the vials you collect chlorine sample in, you want to rinse those 3 times between every sample as well. So now that we have our flask rinsed, we add the distilled water to about 3/4 full. And you'll find these little glass standard vials in the fridge in the back of the lab. They are in these foam boxes that look like this. If there is not an X on it, you will need to check the expiration date. If the expiration date is good, that's what you want to use. Take one of those, and they are glass, so you must be careful. There is this little plastic tool that you can use to crack the glass. You put it in there, and then you apply a little bit of pressure, and it pops right off. Careful not to spill it or cut yourself. Dispose of the glass in the designated glass disposal. So now we have our standard is open. We use this micro pipette MP3, and it has to be set to 1 milliliter. The red is the number of milliliters, and the zeros would be the decimal points. So you want to see a 100 for 1 milliliter. This pipette uses these blue tips. Put it on there snugly, but you don't have to force it, just make sure it's snug. This is typically the way you hold the pipettes. You'll have a little bit of resistance and then more resistance when you're all the way down. So you gently press, and once you hit a stop, that is where you will draw 1 milliliter from. The further you go is just for discharging into the flask to make sure you got it all. So we only want to go down to where it feels natural to stop. Any further is not correct. So feels natural to stop right about there. You want to go into the flask vertical. It helps to guide with your index finger and slowly draw that in.
And you want to be sure not to have any air bubbles when drawing from your standard.
And on these tips, there's actually a little line that indicates 1 milliliter as well. So you can make sure that that lines up there. You slowly spray that into your flask, and that's where you depress it all the way. And that clears the pipette completely. To dispose of it, you press this tab, pops it off, you throw it away. Now that you have your standard in the flask, grab a glass stopper.
But before that, you want to bring it up to volume to make sure you have 100 milliliters.
You mix it and then bring it up to volume.
Okay, you can do that as well.
That's how I do it, because it gives more room for the mixing to occur. But you invert it 3 times. And then bring it up to 3. Bring it up to full, which is 100 milliliters. You want to be careful. You have to be pretty precise and get the meniscus right on the line. The meniscus is the curvature inside the flask. The bottom of that should be even with the line. And it can be tricky sometimes. Looks like it's just about right. Almost overdid it. So now that looks good. Mix it 3 more times. We take our vials. I don't know the last time these were rinsed, so we'll give those a quick rinse. 1, 2, 3. Take your standard, your mixed standard, and you pour 10 milliliters into the vial. That's not quite it.
And then you want to dump that out because you want to rinse with your sample?
That's right.
This ensures all the DI water is gone and there's no additional dilution or contamination from previous samples.
So after 3 sample rinses, fill it up to your 10 mils. It's a little bit much. And that's good. Now, before we put it into the spectrophotometer, which is this instrument that we use to read out our pH or our chlorine residuals, you want to make sure your the outside of your glassware is very clean, so we use these Kim wipes. Get a polish, hold it up to the light if you see smudges. Hit it again. You really want the glass to be clean.
Good job. Keep going.
And then we're going to put the glassware into the meter. And before we run the sample, we have to zero the sample. You want to make sure you're on the correct program, 80 chlorine FNTPP, and then you hit 0. Okay. Now you take your LCS, and we're going to add in the DPD packet, which will reveal the chlorine to the meter. You want to make sure these are not expired as well. They have the dates on the canisters. I typically open the packet and then push the top together like that to give you the best accuracy when pouring it into the vial. Now we have to hit options and start a timer for 3 minutes. And that is how long it will take to dissolve all of the DPD packet. Some of that residual powder will be in the bottom. You can put a stopper in it and give it a light shake to kind of encourage that to dissolve. And now we wait.
And usually after about 30 seconds, the reaction is complete. So if you want to do a preliminary run or analyze it, you can. And typically after the 3 minutes, the results may go up 0.01, if any. So we're going to, for the sake of the video, just run it right now to see if it's within range.
Let me give it one more wipe here, just in case dirty fingers smudged it. Insert it into the meter. Make sure that either your lid is all the way closed or you've got this lid, which gives you a little bit more room firmly on the machine so that it's completely dark inside. And then you hit read. And the standard should read at about 0.28, but that's pretty low.
0.22. However, the 0.22, despite being low, is well within the range. The range is pretty generous. So you will record that on your chlorination residual bench sheet where it says LCS, record your initials, time, and result. And that is the end of making the LCS.
All right, so now that we have our sample, just like with the LCS, we want to rinse our vial with distilled water 3 times.
1, 2, 3.
It's a common courtesy to also refill the distilled water bottle when it gets empty and not leave it for the next person.
Okay.
So now that we've rinsed it with distilled water, we want to rinse it with sample 3 times. Okay, now we filled these vial up to 10 milliliters. And you want that curve kind of at the line. It's pretty good. And it's always a good idea to give your sample a little swirl in the cup just to mix it. We encourage good mixing when taking samples. Take your Kim wipe. make sure to dry and clean your vial very good. I don't see any smudges, so that's what we would call very good. Put it into our spectrophotometer, and we will zero the sample. Now once zeroed, we'll add a DPD packet. Again, make sure you're not using expired ones. Open that packet, pour it in there. Put a stopper in place. Give it a little shake. Now wait 3 minutes.
And unlike your LCS, you definitely want to wait the full 3 minutes for when you're running our plant effluent.
Again, the timer can be found in options, and it will be start and stop timer at the top.
Now, for the sake of this video, we're not going to wait 3 minutes. We're going to run the sample. And before you run it, you want to inspect it to make sure there's no pink hue in the sample, which indicates the presence of chlorine.
We can actually demonstrate that probably with a little bit of city water, which does contain chlorine. So again, that's why you want to use distilled water to rinse your glassware, not city water, because city water contains chlorine. So now I've got 10 milliliters of city water here. Let me demonstrate what a packet will do to that. The city might have forgot to chlorinate today.
No, it's in there. I see it's a pink.
Slight pink?
Yeah, it's a slight pink. And you typically want to hold it up against a white background. Then you can see...
Our walls are white.
You can see it a little better. But there's a slight pink in there.
Yeah, it'll go pink at some point.
It'll go pink. So we can run our plant sample now, even though it hasn't been 3 minutes, just for the sake of the video.
Mm-hmm. And you can kind of see little waves of your dissolved DPD packet in the water. And that's what the spectrophotometer is going to be picking up. So you press read.
Holy crap. Contamination from the stopper that we didn't rinse.
I rinsed it.
All right, so now this is a great training example. Say you get a 0.04. Now what you want to do is run the same sample from the same sample on new glassware. And that's exactly what we're about to do. Dump that out. We're going to give that a quadruple rinse. Maybe fill it up with that distilled water over there, unless you got enough.
Yep, the last operator didn't leave me enough distilled water to complete my residual, so.
So our limit is 0.038. So if you get a 0.04, it's considered a violation because it's over the limit. But oftentimes, more than not, it is just due to contaminated glassware. At the time of this video, we are not chlorinating any parts of the plant. So it leaves me to believe that it's contaminated glassware. And thankfully, we have enough sample left that we could test from our original sample that we pulled from. So you never want to throw away your sample until your results are all in.
Again, after you rinse with distilled, you rinse with sample. centimeters.
So take 2.
Clean up our glass.
Now, in the event this comes back lower than our or within our range, you still want to document that you got the 0.04 and then cite it as contaminated glassware when you rerun the sample. And you want to put that off to the side in the comment section. Looks clear.
That glassware is clean. Let us re-zero it. Let's actually check the expiration day. 2030.
Now, if this comes back at 0.04, your partner needs to be notified to increase our sodium bisulfite, and then after that, someone needs to notify management, because then we would have a confirmed chlorine violation.
So,
we'll start the timer.
Oh, yeah, thank you. For this stopper, I'm gonna really scrub it.
And considering we made an LCS from the original glassware, it could have been leftover chlorine in there.
It is a very good idea to make sure you rinse your glassware out very good, clean your stopper very good if you're going to use it right immediately after an LCS test.
Yes.
So now, let's see, we'll give that a couple of shakes.
And for the sake of the video, we're just gonna wipe it and run it. Because trust me, if it was chlorine in there, it's gonna be in there instantly. Usually about 30 seconds. There we go. Contaminated glassware confirmed. Sample is within range. Also, if you suspect it's still something wrong with the sample, you can run it again on the DR300. Similar process, 0, add your DPD packet, then run it.